Hello everybody and welcome to a new video, a different kind of video, one where I'm using my voice this time instead of Brian. Yeah, it's been a while, I've done a lot of stuff, been busy, but I'm back and this time I want to make a tier list video ranking all the Dragonmaid cards as you can see on screen right now. I have all of them. You may notice some that aren't exactly Dragonmaid cards, but we'll get to them later. But I sort of did already rank them in my Dragonmaid analysis video, but this time around I just want to give like a clear-cut visual of what card is the best Dragonmaid card, in my opinion of course. So, let's start. To start our list off, we have Dragonmaid Changeover. Now, Changeover is a very interesting card because it's the fusion card. And unlike more broken fusion cards like Branded Fusion, Dragonmaid Changeover doesn't fuse straight from the deck. No, it's just a regular fusion from field, hand, whatever. But the difference is Dragonmaid Changeover has recoverability. If you have a Dragonmaid on field, you can recycle Changeover. You can use it twice in one turn too. And you don't need to actually keep the maid on field in order to return Changeover to hand. The maid on field is just part of the requirement to activate Changeover. You can still just get it back even if the maid leaves the field. So that makes it a lot better, honestly. But, once again, it's not fusing from the deck, so that automatically makes it so much weaker than it should be. If it fused from the deck, boy, it would be so much better. It would make Dragonmaids a lot better, but what can we do? I would put it around B rank. For what it is, it's pretty decent. Alright, so next up is Dragonmaid Downtime. Now, Downtime is a continuous trap card that has two effects, but you have to have a maid monster on field in order to use one of those effects. So you have to target the maid, and then you either get to add a Dragonmaid card from your deck to your hand, or target a back row from your opponent's field and bounce it. Both of those effects are actually really good, and it's part of the reason why early on in Master Duel, Downtime was part of the reason why Dragonmaids had a good matchup against like Floodgate Eldritch. Didn't matter what trap cards he set, you can just bounce it and then do your plays. Now, with that said, it's still not great. I say it's underrated, but it's still not that great of a card, honestly. Like, it's so slow. And you have to hope your opponent is running back row in order to use the second effect, or else you just opened up your field for attacks just to search a card. And granted, you could search Ernus to quick summon a maid again, but that just seems like a lot of work for barely any results. So, I would have to put Downtime at C rank. It's a decent card, it can do a lot, but it's just too slow. Alright, next up we have is Ernus. Now, Ernus is one of the big dragons. She's probably, well, spoiler alert, she's probably the best main deck big dragon, so oh yeah, wherever she gets placed, you know the rest is gonna be below her. So, Ernus' effect, as a quick effect, you can discard this card and special summon a maid from your hand. That's pretty much it. That's the effect, and oh yeah, she's the best one. And you can only special summon like level 4 or lower maids, so you can't even summon any of the other big dragons too. Yeah, but so earlier I said you could bounce a maid, then search Ernus. This is the combo I'm referring to. So you use Downtime to, I don't know, like bounce Chamber, search Ernus, use Ernus, and bam, you now have Chamber on field, Ernus in grave, and you search whatever with Chamber. It's not really the best, honestly. And because of that, she's not really the best, and so I just have to put her in like C rank. Next up, we have Dragonmaid Hospitality. And boy oh boy, we finally have a good Dragonmaid card. Yeah, that's right. It's a good one. Because it's a monster reborn that also mills a Dragonmaid. So, well, other than Chamber. If you use it on Chamber, it's just a monster reborn. Oh, Chamber, when are you going to get your dragon form? Right now, you're just... Hospitality is wasted on you. Oh, it's wasted on you, but you have to search it in order to go into Spheres. Ah, that just hurts. But yeah, this helps you with your grind game a lot if you use it on like Parlor or Nurse. Kitchen or Laundry, sure, yeah, it does the same thing too, but I don't really know why you run these two. But anyway, goes into A tier, it's amazing, it's a great card. Next up, we have House Dragonmaid. Now, House Dragonmaid was the original fusion monster, and as the original fusion monster, she sure does not a lot. Like, barely anything. You have to have a Dragonmaid monster on field and a different Dragonmaid monster with a different level in your hand or graveyard in order to even activate House's summoning effect. If you only have one maid, then this House is just a beat stick. A beat stick that may or may not pop like 2 cards during the battle phase, but good luck keeping her until the battle phase. Yeah, your opponent's just gonna walk right into that one, that's for sure. But she's not bad. Like, I may rag on the pop effect, especially since it's a win effect, but it resolves well enough. Like, there are a lot of times where it does just resolve, so I can't rag on her too much. She's useful, kinda. So, she goes in the B tier. Next up is Kitchen Dragonmaid. Kitchen, unfortunately, isn't great, but she could be better. The thing is, if Dragonmaids had actual graveyard effects on their monsters, Kitchen would be an amazing starter. Because she's like Reno Heart, but you can actually choose to keep the monster you search instead of just milling it outright. But unfortunately, none of the maid monsters have graveyard effects. They don't. So why the hell do they have 3 mill effects when there's barely any cards that make use of the graveyard? Why? Forgive me, I'm getting emotional there. Anyway, we don't have a good target for Kitchen. She's kind of a waste of a normal summon unless you somehow have Hospitality or Ernus with Nurse or some other way of getting 2 summons. Yeah, she's not great, but I will put her right there at the top of C tier. She's better than these 2, but she's not that great either. Alright, next up we have Laundry Dragonmaid. Laundry is in a weird position right now because originally I was going to say that she's the worst of the main deck maids, but after building this really weird deck, I can see a potential in her. She's similar to Chillimant Merely in that on summon she can just mill 3 cards. But the difference is Merely is part of a good archetype, the most broken archetype, and Laundry's part of Dragonmaids. Yeah, so even with a flat mill 3, there's not much you can really do with her, like at all. So unfortunately, I have to put her into D tier. She is just not that great. Next up is Lorpar. Lorpar is a tragic case. Lorpar has an effect that can prevent your opponent's monster from being able to activate their effect. So she doesn't negate outright, but she can just prevent them from even using the effect in the first place. unless it's a continuous effect, which, yeah. So, the unfortunate part is that she isn't a quick effect, so she can only be used on your turn. And, well, that's great and all if you're going against an already built board, but at that point, why not just, I don't know, wish for Imperm instead? Imperm, Droplet, Dark Ruler no more. One of those, it's better than just wishing for Lorpar. Yeah. If she was a quick effect instead, then she would be so much better. So much better. Because she would be like Veiler and Imperm, but recyclable. Like, just have a chamber or a parlor, and bam, every battle phase, you now gain an extra disruption. It's just too bad that she's not a quick effect. So, because of that, I put her in C tier. And next up, we have Nudyarl. Yeah, so Nudyarl, she's in the same position as Lorpar. She has an interesting effect. She's like a watered down shuffler, like one of the Sheou shufflers. She can only target one card, so that's already not great. And she's not a quick effect, so who are you really using her on? Like, what monster needs to be in the graveyard during your turn that you can just use Nudyarl on? And she's honestly just a waste of deck space if you use her, which is unfortunate because she's also part of Laundry. And yeah, it just hurts me to put her here, but she has to go here. Next up, we have Nurse Dragonmaid. Nurse is also in a weird position. Honestly, a number of these cards are in a weird position because they have good effects on paper, kinda. Not really decent, not really her. But there's not much you can do with those effects. Like a flat revive a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster? Okay, that's great, but you only have like 2 targets. Because these 2 are the only ones worth running. So, at that point, do you really need Nurse when you can just make Sheou or mill Tidying? Why would you use a normal summon on Nurse? Like, why? You already have enough recyclability. Nurse is just a recycle more card. And yeah, because of that, I have to put her somewhere in C tier. She has more utility than Kitchen, but really, it's not much. Alright, next up is Dragonmaid Sendoff. And let me just tell you, Sendoff is going right at the end here. Yeah, Sendoff is probably just the worst Dragonmaid card, flat out. There's no question. Because even in Pure Maids, why would you use this? Why? It makes no sense. Because you're not going to be running the big dragons that much. You're probably going to be running 1 or 2, maybe 3. But you don't even want to summon them. And those are the good targets. Why would you want to summon the small maids? To get off their effects? Okay, sure. But then just wait until the battle phase. Or are you just somehow worried about your opponent getting rid of them before the battle phase? Sure, that's a valid concern. But I'm pretty sure if your opponent's worrying about your small maids, your end board is probably not that good. So yeah. Here's the thing too. Like, Sendoff gives the Dragonmaid monster that you summon destruction protection from battle and card effects until the end of the next turn. So it's so weird. Because if you use it on a big maid, that big maid will just return back to your hand at the end of the battle phase anyway. So that protection is just gone. If you choose to, return them. But why wouldn't you? If you use it on a small maid, sure, I guess. that's better, but as I said before, why would you use it on a small maid? Why? So yeah, send off worst card. Oh boy, Dragonmaid Tiding. Oh, Tiding is immediately S tier. Tiding is like one of the best Dragonmaid card ever printed. It does so much for them. It can act as disruption, it can act as an extra summon. It does so much with just those two effects. It's great. I love Tiding. It makes Dragonmaid so much better, even though it kind of hard roast them into spheres bit. Both Hospitality and Tiding kind of hard roast them into spheres. Ooh. But yeah, what can you do? If it had better targets, we would see different combos. But yeah. Next up is Dragonmaid Tinkhec. Tinkhec is like the Dragonmaid version of Ernus. Like, if you go into the battle phase, you get attacked, or you attack or whatever, you gain a flat 2k attack boost for whatever Dragonmaid monster you have. Like, that's great and all, and I have shown that Tinkhec can be really useful in that one duel where that one guy just kept on attacking me for some reason. But for the most part, you would rather them not get the chance to do that kind of damage in the first place. So Tinkhec is for situations that you really don't want to happen. So you would rather them not happen in the first place than to run her. She goes into C tier. Parlor. Parlor is an amazing card. I said it in my analysis video, but how can you go wrong with a Foolish Burial and a Foolish Burial Goods on legs for Dragonmaids? Like, that is so good. But the problem is there are barely any targets for her. You know what she targets most of the time? Tidying. That's right. She only goes in S tier because Tidying is there. Tidying exists, therefore she has a target. What, you gonna mill Changeover? Why not just search Changeover with Chamber? That's so much better, more useful. You gonna mill one of the big dragons? Okay, sure. Turn 1? Oh, no battle phase. So what was that? So, Tidying is the reason why Parlor goes into S tier. Parlor by herself is a great card, amazing card, but she has no targets. She barely does anything because she has no targets. Therefore, S tier with Tidying, high A without. Dragonmaid Sheou. Sheou is the boss monster of the Dragonmaid archetype. She is great. She has an Omnigate. She can recover Dragonmaid cards. She is basically House, but better. They one-up House. Okay. But the issue is, Sheou needs a high-level dragon monster and a Dragonmaid to fusion summon. The issue with that is that you don't want to run multiple copies of the big dragons because they're just kind of bricks turn 1. They don't do anything turn 1. You'd be lucky if your opponent doesn't have Ash or Imperm to stop you from your basic combos. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to make her turn 1, so I would put her in high A. She's a great boss monster, but if she was easy to get out, then, well, she would be up a tier. Next up, we have Dragonmaid Welcome. Welcome is sorta in the same position as Downtime, but I wouldn't really consider it that underrated. It kinda deserves this low ranking because it doesn't really do anything by itself. Sure, the attack boost is great and all, and the graveyard effect is fine. For some reason, this is one of the few cards that has a graveyard effect. But the standout effect of Welcome is the ability to recover any Dragonmaid card. But you have to have 2 maids on field in order to do this, which shouldn't be too hard later on in the duel, unless you got really railroaded by your opponent. But really, this card just helps you out more in the grind game. That's all it does. It doesn't really help you win, it just helps you survive a bit better. But by that point, you're already kind of winning anyway, so why? So I would put this at the end of C. Yeah. Next up we have Chamber Dragonmaid. Chamber is already you know she's going to S. But where in S? Is she better than Tiding? Between Tiding and Parlor? Or well, Chamber can search any Dragonmaid back row card upon summon. So already that's a good effect. But the issue is, what is she searching? Tiding? Well, you can't use Tiding in hand. Hospitality? Most likely that's your first priority. Changeover? Well, turn 1, I don't think making Sheou should be your priority. Like making Spears should be. Because Spears does so much more than Sheou turn 1. Downtime, Welcome, or Send Off? I don't know. You're not even running those cards. Why would you search them? So it would be Hospitality. But Hospitality is wasted on Chamber because she doesn't have a dragon form. Therefore, she goes into end of S. Like Parlor, she doesn't have that many good targets. So, unfortunately, yep. And as I said earlier, I do have 2 Dragonmaid cards, quote unquote Dragonmaid cards, that aren't exactly Dragonmaid cards. They do have Dragonmaid art on them, so close enough, I guess. And so first off, we have Laundry Trap. And Laundry Trap is not a great card, like at all. It's supposed to work with laundry in that if you mill it, you get something good. But, I mean, if you want to mill, just run Tillemans and throw this in for some reason. Oh yeah, it's going to D tier, the worst card. If there was an F tier, I would put it there. Oh, it's not good at all. And finally, we have Sweet Room-Maid. This is an OCG card. I don't think it's made its way into the TCG yet, but basically the effect is if a card is sent from the hand and or deck to the graveyard, you can target one card in either graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. You can only use this card once per turn. So it's actually an interesting card because if you use, like, I don't know, if you activate a hand trap and they try to use Called By on it, then you could immediately target that hand trap, shuffle into the deck, and remove the target for Called By. So it has some use there. There's probably other use too, but there's no use for it in Dragonmaids. What would you target? The only 2 cards that mills are Parlor and Kitchen, but you kind of want the cards to stay in the graveyard in order to use them. So, Sweet Room-Maid, not a bad card, not good in Dragonmaids either, so right there, I guess. Oh boy. Well, there we have it, guys. That's all the Dragonmaids cards ranked in my opinion, with Tiding being the best card and Send Off being the actual worst card. I hope you guys liked it. It's a different video. I hope to make more different videos in the future. But with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I will probably see you guys sometime next time. I don't know. So, bye, I guess.